On my recent trip to Paris, I spent a rainy morning visiting the Cluny Museum, and when I was done, I found that I was right on the Boulevard Saint-Germain, so I decided to wander the avenue and make my way towards the Ile Saint Louis, which is where I was staying. On this trip, I also learned that Paris is indeed a good city to walk in. I have always enjoyed using the metro when we visited in the past because I like to just get from one place to the next, but you miss the architecture and all of these lovely places to peruse the cheeses of France. I stepped out of the way right here and ate a fresh warm pastry from one of these vendors. So even in the rain, I've found out that if you have a 30-minute or less walk to your destination, if you map it before you go, sometimes it is nicer to just wander the street to get where you're going, unless you're actually in a hurry and you should in fact take the metro. But look at all the things you would miss if you were underground. We actually visited here in the spring of 2022, and we stayed right on this corner on the opposite side of this restaurant. And you will see, I did not take a picture, but on the corner of that building is actually the oldest sign in Paris. It's carved into the wall on the Rue Galande, right above the Studio Galande. It was first mentioned as early as 1380. And I found it amazing that there's no plaque or sign pointing it out when you walk past it. It's just there. The owner of the apartment we stayed in pointed it out to us. Rue Galande is actually one of the oldest medieval streets remaining in Paris, and it's probably one of the most beautiful. If you have a chance in this neighborhood to walk through, definitely look up the Rue Galande, and you are actually a short distance from the Notre Dame at that point. From the Latin Quarter, I worked my way towards the Notre Dame and got to see all of its construction scaffolding and came around to the front, so I was able to get up somewhat close to see the front of this beautiful and historic cathedral where so many things have happened in history. This is where Napoleon actually crowned himself in December of 1804. You can see the spire is missing, but I believe the construction plans are scheduled to be finished before the 2024 Summer Olympics. I was able to walk down the side of it right here. This is as close as you can get, but they do have some art and some historic notes about the fire and the construction project on the barrier as you go along, so you do have something to look at as you walk along the side here and sort of follow the story. And as you come to the end of that, you progress out into the Ile Cité and some of the touristy areas that are still there and still somewhat functioning, even though there are barricades everywhere and they're a little harder to find. You come out of the Ile Cité and cross a bridge onto the Ile Saint Louis, which is where I was staying. I actually had to navigate a few times while I was here. There was a movie being filmed right in this area, and I had to often stop and wait while they filmed. They just held everyone up and kind of wouldn't let you pass, so I got to see a little bit of that. And then continued my wander down the main street that goes the length of the Ile Saint Louis. This is a very beautiful and old island. It has a very village type feel to it. You don't feel like you're in the middle of a city. There are a lot of beautiful artisan shops to see on this particular street, and it was rainy and November, so it was very quiet. Felt like I had the street to myself. I wandered along down the main street and then turned here and went into the little market on the corner to grab some groceries to take home to make a little dinner. Then continued around the corner to the apartment I had rented, which looked out over the St. Paul and the Marais district. This is also a great location to rent if you're going to stay in the city, because you are by foot, you are not much more than a 25-minute walk to a lot of the major sites that you'd like to see while you're in Paris. So we did go up to Montmartre on one of the days, which is definitely a metro ride or two, but the rest of the things that I did on this trip were all pretty much within walking distance, so I just got out and walked, and I got to see a lot of beautiful scenery. On that note, this is definitely the place to pack older, comfortable walking shoes that you know you can walk miles in, leave the new shoes at home, and bring 1 or 2 pairs of shoes that are well broken in. I hope you enjoyed this wander through rainy Paris in November from the Latin Quarter down to the Ile Saint Louis. If you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more of our travels and travel tips, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.